Broken, badly funded and not fit for purpose. That's the verdict on the firearms licensing system in England and Wales. But BASC and politicians who understand the importance of shooting sports to the economy, the environment and countryside communities believe it can be fixed. MP Sir Bill Wiggin says the government should consider introducing 10-year certificates.
My view is that once you are medically monitored, why do you have to keep coming back to the police, increasing the costs on the police as well as on the individuals? You're being monitored. You don't need to keep reapplying. So I'd like to see at least a 10-year license, and then rather in the same way as you do with your driving license, when you reach a certain age, you get reassessed. And I think that's the sort of approach we should be taking for shotgun and firearms certificates.
BASC's Director of Firearms, Bill Harriman, is concerned that the recommendations made after the shootings in Plymouth in 2021, where 5 people died, are going in the wrong direction. The jury suggested shotgun certificates should be scrapped and added to firearms certificates.
It troubles me because I look back at history, and the last time that shotguns were changed in status was 1988. And since then, the all-time high of shotgun certificates in 1988 has gone down by 40%.
BASC says the solution to fixing the broken system is to focus on individual responsibility.
Shotguns are really the only efficient part of the licensing system because they license people rather than individual guns. What I would do is I would design a system that concentrated on the suitability of the person, and once that person is suitable to possess firearms, it's generally a matter for him to decide which ones he possesses, providing that he satisfies a statutory condition, which we have at the moment, to keep those firearms securely.
I agree. I think we need to have one price, one standard, one level of training, one commitment by the police to ensure that not only are you a fit and proper person to have a shotgun or firearms certificate, but in return for you being that person, you are trusted for a longer period of time. And I think we, as the public, have a right to be protected by our certification process, as well as by our police force and our doctors. And those are all coming together at the moment, which is welcome. But if it's all working, then we don't need to go back to the old-fashioned 5-year renewal. So I'd like to see more trust put in people who are being monitored more closely.
Firearms licensing has become an issue due to mistakes made by Devon and Cornwall police. The inquest jury criticised the force, which gave Jake Davison a certificate despite his history of violence. After the shooting, the force cracked down on shooters. Fieldsports News has reported on many incidents where police seized guns from ordinary shooters. Tom Wyndham-Smith and Art Harvey say they were 2 of the victims of this overreaction.
I think that my situation was brought on by a knee-jerk reaction by Devon and Cornwall police as they scrambled to try and save themselves, really. And it appears from what I've heard that they have saved themselves and no real actions come from what's happened, and it's a bit of a shambles, really. I think
we've been victimised of what happened at Plymouth. They're trying to pass the buck on to somebody else, because my situation, the person lied and nothing happened, got away with it. Why do they get away with it? They waste some police time.
Art has got his guns and certificate back.
I had stress the first time when I had my licence. I couldn't understand why, because I had done nothing wrong.
Tom still hasn't got his guns or certificate.
It's a big hassle for me. I do a lot of pest control, fox shooting and deer stalking, and I've not been able to do any of that. And to be honest with you, I'm losing my permissions as the days go by, and pretty gutted, to be honest. It's a lot of years worth of work gone in, and it's all gone.
BASC says one of the ways the government could avoid the inconsistent service that shooters face is to introduce a national system.
I think improving the firearms licensing system you would need to get something like the Forensic Regulator's Office put in place with teeth to mandate chief constables to obey the statutory guidance and to finance and resource their departments properly. And you would have to be able for that office, call it the firearms regulator for want of a better word, to be able to say, Chief Constable, you're behind with your renewals of certificates, you will remedy this by 6 months and we will inspect you again.
My preferred change would be to have a national firearms unit that covered the whole of the UK, so that individual constabularies can't have different levels of service. You know, the training was missing in Cornwall. Well, by having one firearms unit, that would allow the police to ensure that training was uniform across the whole of the country. So I think there are other things that can be done rather than trying to toughen up shotgun certificate ownership.
Whatever the future changes to firearms licensing, they will come too late to help Tom. He says it's too expensive to appeal to get his guns or certificate back.
It's really unfair, I think. It's not right, you know, there should be an investigation into the claims against me being aggressive or whatever, and, you know, I just feel really let down by the system, to be honest with you. I really do.
Well, I feel the same. The police had let everybody down. There's, like, you could turn around and say to the police, he threatened me, and they come and take my guns out. And you don't feel safe no more. Anybody can say anything, tell a pack of lies, and get away with it. And the police, because of that lot up Plymouth, they bang, they're on it.
After a campaign by Fieldsports News, most of the shooters in Devon and Cornwall we spoke to do have their guns back. There are forces in England and Wales that suspended processing of new certificates, and waiting times are months, not weeks. BASC says there is a risk history could repeat itself.
How do we avoid another Plymouth? Well, it is a very, very difficult thing to say that you're never going to get somebody who just goes bonkers. When, as David Cameron put it in 2010, a light switch just flicks in his head. However, you can learn an awful lot. And we're getting now the rollout of a medical marker on people's records, and that will alert the police to somebody who's presented with a condition that doesn't necessarily mean he's got to not have a gun, but he needs to be investigated and he needs to be risk assessed. You've got to risk assess rather than be risk averse. And I think if you get that scrutiny together with our early warning system, I think you've done everything you can.